Town Manager Tom Lynch addresses the Housing Committee. A new low-cost project is helping rebuild sand dunes on Long Beach and Centerville. And we have details about a new art project in town. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, June 17th, 2015. I'm Sarah Mannel. Town Manager Tom Lynch hopes to help the Housing Commission find ways to create more affordable housing in Barnstable. Lynch addressed the commission at its meeting Tuesday, offering his take on how best the commission can accomplish their goal.
My thought was that, there are a couple of things that this committee could look at for, roles. One certainly is advocacy, you're an advisory group that can go out there and advocate for a particular type of housing or particular program. And it's not that you have some good expertise certainly around this table, but there are a variety of agencies in this county and in our town that's their job. Their job is to provide housing, manage existing housing, and produce housing. And so I look back and there are a lot of there have been a lot of summits, there have been a lot of studies, there have been a lot of efforts to bring the same sort of attention that the series is bringing now. And Judy Barnett did one probably now about 10 years ago, where she involved the economic side of it, the housing, the houses, and try to get other government agencies involved. One of the big products of that was to try to come up with a toolkit. What are all the tools that we have in our arsenal that we can utilize to try to, bring housing into the county? Clearly, you can sit and come up with ideas for how the CPC, how the Community Preservation Committee housing money should be used, and then go try to sell it to the Housing Authority, Housing Assistance Corporation, Bay Bridge, someone, Habitat.
Lynch also suggested the commission meet with nearby Cape towns to see what they are doing to increase affordable housing. A new inexpensive project is helping restore the dune system on Long Beach and Centerville along the Centerville River. Gordon Peabody, Director of Safe Harbor Environmental Services, provided the Conservation Commission a detailed explanation of biomimicry and how it is being used on Long Beach.
So biomimicry is a low-profile, minimal system, adjustable system that we feel minimally manages storm energy. And the basic principles of biomimicry have to do with the laminar flow of wind across a surface that picks up sand particles. And then when that wind interacts with either A, a matrix of beachgrass stems, or B, a matrix of biomimicry, that'll create turbulence, and that turbulence changes the velocity, changes the transport, and sand will collect. How much sand? On an ocean beach, we've had up to 10 feet a year, vertical. So here we have it. This looks like, oh, are we doing artwork on the beach now? Did you get a grant for this? Even people that I know secretly like me say, that's basically kind of a stupid system, isn't it? But it works. Why? Because if we can find ways to manage the energy instead of the mass, I believe the energy that we manage will manage the mass itself, and we can actually stay out of the way.
Peabody says biomimicry has been very successful over the last few years on Long Beach.
By March 2014, we were able to start sprinkling in some grass with the biomimicry because we had several more overwash events. And then that pretty much closed out 2014. And then in January, we went down there to make some adjustments. It had been more overwashed. We could really see the emergence of the barrier dune for the first time. Linkage to scale is one of the most critical factors, in my opinion, for coastal restoration. And linkage to scale, in this case, when you have your physical a line at the top of your dune being able to almost closely connect or at least manifest itself, I think was really interesting. Realize when we go out there, there's nowhere for this sand to come from. There's no long beach for the wind to pump up over and blow the sand. This is coming from underwater. So after one of the most brutal winters that I can remember, we couldn't even get out there for months because we would row out from neighbor's property, or the owner's property. We would row out. When we went out there April 2015, could not believe what we found. There was so much sand out there, and it was just really remarkable. And that's when I had to acknowledge that maybe the system was working, even though I can't pretend to you or anyone or any of my colleagues that I know exactly what was going on or exactly how it worked or what all the principles were, that it was working.
The Conservation Commission applauded Peabody's efforts and said they hope to encourage other consultants to utilize biomimicry in future dune restoration projects. Purple paint on a village green bench, a swath of yellow on a Main Street sign, and a bit of blue on Pearl Street. What is it all about? A street art project is underway in downtown Hyannis. For the next 2 weeks, street artist Kate DeCiccio is the artist in residence at the Geyer Barn.
For me, there's a lot of things that are really fun about the street. One is in a completely non-exclusive space, so everyone has access to the street. But also that there's so many like little nooks and corners of street spaces that aren't attended to, when they're just like corners where there's trash or where dirt's collecting. And so as a street artist, you can really think about how to put art in interesting places and combine, the elements of beauty and mischief, so that then when people come after, they too, like you said, kind of feel like they're in this sort of like treasure hunt of like the person who came before them. And so always a part of my work is kind of using imagery of nature and architecture and textiles to create this element of play on and off planes. So from the floor up the wall, jumped onto a telephone pole, over a bench. So this is an example.
Kate also plans to create a mural at Azalton Park featuring 4 portraits of local luminaries. She'll be in residence at the Geyer Barn through June 28th and plans a public talk on Thursday, June 25th, and workshops on the 27th and 28th. You can learn more at artsbarnstable.com. Now we have a special preview of the National Skating Competition that begins tomorrow right here in Hyannis. Ice skaters from across the United States will soon gather in Barnstable. U.S. Figure Skating and the Yarmouth Ice Club will host the 8th annual Theater on Ice competition at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center from June 18th to the 21st. Theater on Ice is a very different kind of skating that combines the grace of figure skating with the excitement of theater and dance. During the 4-day competition, teams will be judged on technical merit and presentation. You can join the fun. All event tickets are available for $70, and single-day tickets can be purchased for $20. You can pick up your tickets at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. There are 2 meetings on the schedule tonight. The Mid-Cape Cultural Council will meet at 6:30 in the Growth Management Conference Room here at Town Hall, and the Shellfish Committee will meet at 7:30 in the West Barnstable Community Building. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will have our weekly golf segment. We'll find out what's on the agenda for this week's Town Council meeting with Town Council President Jessica Rapp-Grassetti. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.